Samiq Shooter Young learned at an early age that love doesn't make you responsible. His parents chose their vices over him, and although they were there, they fell short when it came to providing stability. This deficient to force him into the streets and into a different type of family where he had to do whatever necessary to survive. Years passed, and he built a one man operation that was just enough to provide a good life, but kept him under the radar. However, as a man, he once again learns that love doesn't make you responsible. When one of his transactions are interrupted by an ex who chose her vices over raising their daughter, a daughter that Shooter wasn't aware existed, he's left once again to stand up where someone else fell short. Refusing to be a mirror image of his parents, he has some tough choices to make, which meant rearranging his priorities enough to be a father to his daughter. He walks away from everything and grinds in any way possible to make sure they both have what they need. That left little to no room in his life for anything other than being on his grind and raising his daughter until her. Unfortunately, Shooter finds himself stuck between what his heart is being pulled to and what his mind is fighting against. Once you're faded off to love, Once you're faded off of love, you no longer have control, no matter how hard you fight to maintain it. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I am your host, Erica the Bibliophile, and today's book is Faded, Shooter and Nomi, Book 1 and 2 by Casey Mills. As you probably already heard, you can figure out, I'm a little stopped up this week. Just got a little springtime cold. Um, but yeah, we're gonna rock it out. I hope it sounds better than that last time I was sick. Oh, I sounded a mess, child. But listen, let's get into this book. Yes, another. I think this is my second Casey Mills story because I've been real heavy on Be Love, and I was like, "Girl, you need to move around, honey." But yes, and a lot of the authors have to re-release their stories and put them back out. I had been searching for this book. I love this story of Shooter and Nomi. And there's also another couple in the story, Dreek and Ravika, but we're going to shorten her name to Riv. So, how does the story start? The story starts with Samiq, who is known as Shooter. He's doing a drug deal, like in a dark alley somewhere. And all of a sudden, his ex walks up with a baby, and she looking all drugged out. And he like, girl, go away. Can't you see I'm busy? And she like, I can't do this no more. He like, do what? And she throws this baby at him and says, she's your responsibility too. I can't do this. And for a man who did not know he had a baby, and it's like, girl, I ain't seen you in like a year. If you don't get out my fucking face and come get this child. But she runs off saying she can't do it, and he's stuck with a baby. And, he goes through the necessary things of getting her tested, making sure that this is his baby. And he starts to raise the little girl. Her name is Ari. She's now 4 years old. And, it's just been him and her thugging it out because it's like, okay, I got a baby. Uh, I'm getting out the drug game. Can't do that shit no more. And he opens up a tattoo shop. He's a tattoo artist. He just made all the necessary changes because it's like, damn, you really just threw this baby on me and left. And it seems like he is surrounded by people who are on drugs because his girlfriend got into drugs. Uh, his parents are on drugs, both of them. They're still married and they're still together, but they are, out in the streets doing drugs. And are we going to call him his best friend? Yeah, his best friend, Drake, also pops pills, but he swears he has it under control and it's not a problem. Uh, and So he gets a phone call. I had to think, I was like, how does this go? He gets a phone call from, people he's still connected to in the drug game, saying, your people out here causing all this ruckus outside the trap house, need you to come get them. And so he goes over there one day and he sees a lady, like she's attractive, but he calls her like a fucking druggie or an addict or something like that, and like basically brushes past her and is judging her. And this is where we are introduced to Nomi. Nomi, I get she feels better about the fact that she doesn't do uh I guess quote unquote hard drugs. She's a pill popper. And she takes pills to erase the pain of her sister and her mother no longer being there. They were killed in a car accident that she believed that she caused, and she has survivor's remorse. And so, she just takes these pills to get herself high, and she doesn't have to feel, she doesn't have to think. So it's like I don't care about nothing when I have these pills. She's also a waitress at the local diner, and like the next day when she goes to work, Shooter is there with his daughter. Now they don't know each other. They just had that passing at the trap house. And she's his waitress. So she goes over there, she's just she's being a waitress. She's having good customer service, trying to talk them up. But of course, he's like fucking like don't talk to my daughter. She just get her this and go on about your business. And it's just like that, it ain't like I'm trying to personally get with you. I'm just trying to do my job. And so then at some point, the little girl stands up and she has to go to the bathroom. And, he tells her, go ahead. And Nomi is like, I can go in there with her, help her out if you need me to, because of course he can't go into the women's bathroom and he can't take her into the men's bathroom. And he's like, look, back up, all right? I don't need you to do nothing for my daughter. I don't need you trying to get in with her. Don't talk to her. She know how to go to the bathroom and come right back out. And you know what? I'd have been like, fuck it. You right, you got it. But I know that comes from him thinking that he knows everything about her because he saw her coming out of that drug house. Because it's like you really don't know her. You didn't know anything about her. You didn't know if she was buying them for someone else, just copping to resell, make a little money herself. You don't know nothing. You just saw her coming out of there and just assume you knew everything. And then because you know, he's that guy. Women have tried to get closer to his daughter, thinking that that would make them more attractive to him. And yeah, am I saying it right? Making them more appealing to him, I should say. And she's like, I'm just trying to help you out. You really just sending your 4-year-old into the bathroom alone. She might need some help. That's all it was. But she's like, all right, you got it. Don't even worry about it. It's cool. Like, nigga, you don't know me. I don't know you. You judging me. It is what it is. And so it's just like, whatever. But because he's like downplaying his attraction to her and he is upset at the fact that he is attracted to her, he helps her out. Like, he tells them to stop selling to her. They meet up on a few occasions and just like talk it out, and she tells him about her problems. And instead of her taking the pills, they have sex. And I was just like, why would you do such a thing? Like, sex solves nothing. And it's awkward for a minute after that until they get to talking again and they begin to get closer. And one night, she stays the night because he has to run out and do something. And Ari jumps in the bed with her, like, are you my daddy's friend? Can you braid my hair like yours? Like, she's just all up in her face. And Ari is a sweet little girl. She's full of energy, just bouncing all over the place. Just cute, just being real, real cute. And because she knows how Shooter is about his daughter, she's like, I'm your daddy's friend, we're just friends. But she gets up, like, she makes her pancakes because she says her daddy cooks her pancakes every morning. Uh, and she braids her hair, like, they're getting real close. And Shooter calls on the phone because he had been out like all night. That nigga came in, he was tired as fuck. Uh, and he was like, I really appreciate you doing this for me. And so they break down that barrier. And I was like, that's all it was. He was just like, ain't gonna be no revolving doors when it comes to his daughter. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I hate parents who do that. Like, you constantly, especially, not especially, but it more so happens with women than men. Because men are protective like this. Like, no, every girl I meet or have sex with don't get to meet my daughter. Like, this is just sex. What you need to meet my kid for? And I said daughter, like sons too. Like, leave my child alone. You're not gonna be around that long. And don't think that talking to them and trying to buy them stuff is gonna make me want to be with you even more when I've already expressed that this is nothing but sex. But then you have women who are constantly like, this is your uncle, this is your uncle, this is your uncle. And it's like, first of all, that's gross. Because that means you're sleeping with your brother. I just want, and it's like when you explain family dynamics to children, they're gonna be like, "This is." I thought you said this is my uncle, so don't that make them your brother? Why you kissing your brother? Because kids be peeking around and looking at shit that they ain't got no business looking at. And so, uh, they're getting closer, like they boyfriend and girlfriend. Shooter gave her a tattoo, like he be having her come up to the shop, like just sit with me, like shit. We ain't even doing nothing. I just want to look at you all day. I was like, ooh. Must be nice. Uh, and at one point, it was so random because he told her to sit with me all day, whatever, and the girl in his chair is just being so extra. She's like, careful. You of all people should know how sensitive I am. And he like stopped that gun and looked at her and was like, bitch, if you don't cut it out. And he looks directly at Nomi like, I've had sex with her in the past. She obviously wants to make that known. And then that's when old girl in the chair is embarrassed. And it's like, embarrassed for what? You brought this on yourself. You see that his girl is there. Like, he's made it known who she is, and you wanted to put on a show. So, the fucking circus is in town. Like, and she don't say nothing else after that. It's just like, yeah, I bet. Like, what you doing all this for? And then, oh, I forgot her name because she's really not important. But also at the beginning of the story, he was messing with this girl who he made clear, like, once again, like, it's just sex. We're not in a relationship. You can do you because I'm damn sure doing me. It is what it is. And she's like, we've been doing this for a while. When you gonna let me meet your daughter? And he's like, girl, never. Like, you don't talk to her, don't approach her, because. And then at the restaurant, that's what it was too. At that same day at the restaurant, she walks in and tries to introduce herself to Ari, and Shooter is, for lack of a better word, shooting daggers at her. Like, bitch, if you don't get the fuck away from my daughter and stop talking to her, like, I have made it very clear. And that's another thing. Like, when people set boundaries and then you try to cross those boundaries, like, that don't make you look better in this person's eyes. If anything, it's like, I knew right from the start because your ass don't listen. But she just keeps trying to worm her way into being his woman, I guess, because she just keep popping up like, that girl, you know what she does, right? Like, this is who you chose to be with your daughter. And he's like, whether I do or not, whether it's her or not, it's never going to be you. So why are you worried about it? And it's just like, girl, she was seen out at the club by his best friend Drake with somebody else. And it's just like, so girl, you got somebody else, you doing your own thing. So why you worried about me and being all up in my face, acting like I'm the only one you want? Girl, get out of here. And so then we have Drake, who I said is Shooter's best friend. And he meets a girl because one night they were supposed to meet up, but that was the night that Shooter and Nomi had sex because he was like, I got to kick it with her tonight. I need to be here for her tonight. We'll meet up again some other time. So that's the night that he meets Rebecca, and he thought it was just gonna be a one night stand thing. Boom, bow, he out of there. But they start talking, they get closer, and he's like, I like her, I want to see where this goes. But Rebecca also has an ex-boyfriend that she's kind of getting over, still has some type of attachment to, but not really, because he cheated on her. And he's like a rapper, I think. Yeah. Because she was like, I know you sleeping with your producer, who he lied and told her was a man, but it's actually a woman. And he swears like ain't nothing going on, ain't nothing happening. And she's like, I'm not stupid, because this is simple fact. You lied about that. You was doing other shit. Like, just leave me alone. And this is when, because they having like this big old argument, and Drake pulls up and was like, I'm here now, basically, get out her face. Ain't none of that going on no more. And they fall pretty quickly, like, for each other, because he's like, she ain't like none of these other hoes, and I'm digging her. And so with that, he's like, I thought you was done with that. Like, why you going back to him? And she's like, what I do ain't none of your damn business, nigga. Like, get you some. And he, like I said, Drake has a pill problem. Like, he be popping pills like this shit. Like, it's going out of style. But he swear he's not an addict. He has it all under control, whatever, whatever. Until, uh, what is it? Until, oh yeah. See, once again, that's why I'll be remembering all these girls' names, because there's so many of them. He's messing with a girl from the hood, and when he don't want to give her no play no more, she calls her brothers, who are in a rival gang, because Drake is still in the hood while Shooter is not, but he's still a part of the set. And she tells her brother that basically Drake put his hands on her, disrespected her, calling her all out her name, calling her a hoe, whoop whoop, whatever. So the brother shows up to Drake's house with like 10 other niggas and jump Drake. And it's just like, really? All because that nigga didn't want you no more, you told a lie? Which he did. And he ain't going like no punk. He like, they gonna beat my ass, but I'm gonna get at least one, if not two of these niggas and go to work on them. So he managed to beat a few of them up before, they all got on top of him. And his addiction got even worse. And Rib is right there through it all. She's like, you need to do something about this. You need to get this under control. And of course, as addicts do, I don't have no problem. It ain't no problem. And she's like, all right, you know what? You got it. You right. Drake is also holding on to a secret. His dad died um like 2 years ago. And his mom, like, she's stuck in limbo. She don't want to move on without him. She's like kind of sad all of the time. But he knows that his dad was cheated on his mom, and he has a little brother. And he be helping that lady out, take care of that little boy, but he hasn't told his mom about the fact that there is, like, the little boy is even alive. And so The only reason why Ravika knows is because, she saw them one day and she was like, nigga, I know you don't have a fucking baby. Like, whose fucking baby is this? And he's like, man, chill out, chill out. This ain't my son. This my brother. And she's like, do you really expect me to believe that? And he's like, yeah, because it's the truth. I ain't got no reason to lie to you. Oh, speaking of, so at one point, because the little boy mama's died. She had like cancer or something like that, but she died. So now he's responsible for the child. But one day, Riv goes over there and the baby is hollering his head off. And Drake is nowhere to be found. And the baby almost got into some pills. Like, she walked in to the house to find the baby like real close to the pills. So she snatches the pills up, get the baby settled, calm him down, and go back in the bedroom to find Drake across the bed, like knocked out. And she thinks he's high out of his mind. So she slaps that nigga awake, which is so funny. Because if you ever remember that clip of that woman who like lays down by her husband's bedside and slaps the shit out of him. And then when he wakes up, she's like, "Oh my darling, are you having a night?" So random, but that's what that made me think of. And he like, man, what the fuck wrong with you? And she's like, do you know what would have happened if he would have got this into his system and you just back here high? You don't care nothing about this baby. I'm not doing this shit with you, man. Ain't no way. And he like, man, you need to calm all that down. It ain't even like that. I was just tired as fuck because his little ass done had me up all night. I'm not high. I'm tired. And she like, nah, it was too close. I'm not doing this. You're not responsible. I'm not doing it. And so he like, man, you ain't going nowhere. I can't do this without you. And he goes and flushes the he had a big ass bag, and it's like, for somebody who swears they didn't have a problem, why do you have so many of these pills? But he goes and flushes them all down the toilet. Like, look, see, I promise, I'm done. I done gave up that narcotic now. Like, girl, it ain't over. And it was so. She was like, how much money was that? And he like, man, about $5,000. She said, you flushed 5,000. He was like, I had to show you. And that kind of pissed me off. It's like, girl, you just swore you was about to leave me. I don't want to lose you. I had to do something to make you see that, I wasn't letting this go. So yeah, I flushed it down the toilet. And she was like, but that was $5,000 though. Like, nigga, we could have resold that. Like, now that she over the fact that he not taking the drugs no more, she like, but you didn't have to flush them down the toilet though. Like, we could have. He like, girl, you don't know nothing about selling. You don't know nothing about that. Like, girl, let it go. And he was like, stop talking about it. If I get pissed over the fact that I flush my shit down the toilet, like, I'm trying to focus on the fact that it's about you, it's about us. And so, he gets clean, and then he also takes like Riv and the baby to his mama, and of course the mama, I feel like she was playing though, because that little boy looked just like Drake. And so when she opened the door, she's like, you had a baby? And he like, no, ma. And she's like, oh, it ain't your baby. So you didn't tell me that she had a baby? And he's like, no, ma. Like, and so she's like, okay, so what's going on? So when he breaks it down to her, of course she don't want to believe it. And she's like, I'm not listening to this. No, your father would never. And it's like, yeah, he would, and he did. And so after she accepts that fact, then she has to accept the fact you kept this from me. And of course that hurts more because it's like, so you knew that he cheated on me, and you've been going to see this woman, and you taking care of this baby. Like, get the fuck out of my house, man. I don't want shit to do with you. And but then all of a sudden, because he had to tell her like the mom is dead, so I gotta take care of the baby with me now. And then she basically just shit on his whole life, like, the baby with you taking care of this baby. And but she knew his life, she knew what he was into. It's just like, I don't know about all that. But one thing I hate, and y'all, if you a long-term listener of mine or you heard any of my other shows, but if not, I'll recap. I am not a fan of taking care of other people's children. No, the baby didn't do anything. It's not the baby's fault. Those are true statements. But here's another true statement. That little bastard don't belong to me, and I'm not taking care of him. Not okay. Bastard is harsh, and that was rude. I'm sorry. I'm not taking care of nobody else's kids, especially if you cheated on me to have said child. May that child prosper and have the best life possible. But I won't be there to see it. Like, child. Anywho, so, that's their life now, taking care of that little boy together. Ooh. So, this was also a fun part. Shooter opened up like a second tattoo shop location, right? And they there for the opening, we'll do whatever, whatever. So old girl who called her brother on Dream with her lying ass shows up talking about she want to show support. And he like, man, I will, girl, get on my face. And he like, why you lie? And she like, I didn't lie. Well, she was like, I might have lied just a little bit, but that show you not to mess with me. And it's like, girl, but your brother can't see me one on one though. He had to have a group of niggas behind him just to get me down. Cause had it been one on one, I would have beat your brother's ass. And so, if she sees that Rib is there, so she trying to throw her little shade. But it's like, girl, whatever. Like, I don't understand you women. It never be y'all. Why do y'all like you just can't move on? And so let's go back to Shooter and Nomi. So Shooter, his mama, he gets his mama, or he helps his mama to get clean, but the daddy is still out there doing him. So at one point, she's sober, she thriving, she back in the grandbaby's life, which she knew her grandparents, but they were never like allowed to be around like that. So he on the up and up. And then the daddy shows up like, baby, I'm sick. I need you. And the mama is about to fold quickly. And Shooter looked at her like, you bet. And I said, ooh, but you should know right there. As soon as she like stood up and started walking towards her, I'd have let her go. Cause ain't no way you worked that hard to get that clean and you fall back in that trap like that. I'm letting you go. I know it's hard. I'm not trying to diminish people's struggles and things they go through because you can't fall off the wagon. But my thing is, once again, I'm not going to be there to catch you. I have my own struggles to deal with. I cannot. I was just telling my friend this the other day. It's like, you can't carry your burdens and carry somebody else's burdens too. And let's just say you didn't have any burdens. Life is great, and it still ain't your responsibility to help somebody else. It's like you offered your help, they took it, and you helped them once. You don't have to help them again. I would have let her walk right on out, but of course, it's his parents, it's his mama. He like, no, you got yourself together. He want to be out. And the daddy was cheating too, like in her face. But of course, he gonna blame it on the drugs. Say he didn't know what he was doing. Ain't no way he would do her like that. So we'll do whatever. So back to the car accident that Nomi thinks she was responsible for. The other person, the person in the other car, he's been in a coma in the hospital. So one day she shows up to see him, and the wife is there, and she is up. She's like, "What are you doing here? You need to leave right now before I call the cops." And it was one of those days where nobody was just coming to see, like maybe he woke up, maybe he's at home with his family now, maybe he's okay. And right after she leaves, well, not right after, but she leaves the hospital, she goes back to work, she's like kind of going on with her life until one day, Shooter and Ari are there, and Ari's helping her, like fake work and all that type of stuff. And the police show up and she's arrested. And it was the wife. The wife is like, That's her right there. She murdered my husband because the man died in the hospital. So Nomi is feeling terrible. She's like, Shooter got her out of jail, and she's like, you finally let me in. You finally let me get close to her. And this is what happened. She's like, I understand if you don't want nothing to do with me, if you don't want to let me see her anymore, but just tell me how she's doing. And that right there like kind of solidified their relationship for Shooter, because he's like, you didn't plan on that happening, you didn't try to make that happen. It was very unfortunate that it did happen, and the fact that you're even worried about her right now when we kind of need to be focused on you tells me all that I need to know. And I'm not upset about the fact that, well, I am upset because my daughter was upset because you know Ari was like, no, where are they taking her, like, Dad, don't let them do that to her. She was upset, and she was looking for Nomi like after it happened, but he got her settled down and came to look for her. So, they bail her out because she ain't got no record, like, ain't nothing going on. So, until they investigate and find out what's going on, she's free to go. And so she almost had a relapse, but he's like, don't shut down on me, don't go into that headspace. Don't let this take you away from me, basically take you away from us. Because she's like, I just need to let you go. You don't need to be dealing with this. It's my fault anyway. I'm guilty. And so, he's like, stay, fight for us, be with us. And she's like, you know what, you right. I can't continue to live my life in the past. So she gets it together. Now they do go to court, and old lady, she's an attorney, but of course, I guess she can't pursue the case herself, so she has her own attorney. Come to find out, and Nomi remembers that night the wife showed up on the scene, and she took an empty liquor bottle from his car, and took it and put it in her purse before anybody else could find it. And, this stuff, it has never been tested, never, ain't nobody put no thought into it, no nothing. And so Shooter hires her an attorney, like he has an attorney, and he hires his attorney for her. And so they get the toxicology report on the husband, come to find out his, uh, what is it called? His alcohol intake was like way above the limit, and he was the one that ran the light, not her. So her husband caused the accident, and the only reason why she was trying to get her arrested and go to jail for murder and sue her is because of money. She was hoping to get some type of money, like she's broke, and that's basically all it is. And she has an outburst in court. She's turns to her attorney and says, I basically given very much bring it on. Like, I handed you this shit on a silver platter. All you had to do was like just do everything the fuck I told you to do, and we good to go. And so, the case is thrown out. She's a free woman. It was never her fault. So basically, although the man died himself, he was the one that killed her mom and her sister, not her. So that's a burden lifted off of her shoulders. And at some point, they have like a mini family vacation where, not a family vacation, a couple trip, but Ari and Shooter's mama is also there. So I call it a family vacation where it's just like, we grown, we in relationships, we having fun, honey. I said, oh, I love that for you. And it was nice to see, because even the dad, like after the fact, Shooter went to go see his dad and told him, like, if you not dead ass about getting clean and like changing your life around, do not come around us anymore. Like, I'm not fucking playing with you. Stay away unless you are serious about this. So even the dad get clean. So it was a great thing of, he was once surrounded by nothing but addicts, and now everybody is clean. Everybody has gotten their life together. But oh, I meant to say before like the court scene and all that type of stuff, like after she was arrested, um old girl who Shooter used to mess with, right? She comes into his tattoo shop with a bag of pills saying, this what your girl do, right? This the type of woman that you want your daughter around? Like, see, you gave up me for her. And he's like, I thought I told your stalking ass a while ago, like, don't worry about it. It ain't gonna be used. And like, how the fuck do you know this information anyway? And come to find out, the old boy, I said he was a rival. He's not a rival. He works in the trap house that Nomi used to cop from. And so he was hugged up with old girl telling her the business. And Shooter goes up in there like, and he asked the guy like at the front, like, who you telling my business to? And that man like, don't play me like that. I don't pillow talk with nobody, so I ain't told nobody nothing. And he like, who else be in here when she used to get her stuff? And he like, old boy in the back. And so he go back there with his gun. He done smack this thing around. He like, what you talking about me for? What you speaking on my name for? Who you telling my business to? And he like, nah, man, I thought it was. He said, man, it ain't about the fact that you fucking with her. I don't give a fuck about her. Why are you telling my business? Like, that's nobody's business but mine. What you telling it for? Mine, your own. And he like, you right, you right. So in the end, let's wrap this on up. In the end, Shooter proposes to Nomi first, like, this right. We've been together almost a year, thugging it out. The worst part is like, it's over. I love you. I want to marry you. Ari sees you as her mom. Let's do this thing. And she says yes. And then Drake does the same thing, but at first, real like she refuses because she's like, you don't have to copy off your friend if you feel like you're not ready. And the sad part is, like, in this story, it kind of was like a Me Too thing. Like, Shooter got with Nomi, and it's like, it's serious. Then here comes Drake with Rib. Like, I was just gonna break her off real quick, but I guess I can make it serious with her too. And then it's like he proposes. Then like a week later, uh, Drake proposes too, and it's just like, damn, man, you ain't got to do everything your friend do. And I don't know. I kind of would have ended the relationship right there because I'm like, so you seriously think I can't make my own decisions? Have you not been in this relationship with me? But he fights hard. He like, I've been had this ring, and he calls his. I would have hung up on the mama though. Like, I need y'all to read the book and go to the passage. Well, read the book, but when you get to the passage of his mama at the end, it's like, I asked you one question. Just answer the fucking question. You doing all this other shit, talking all this other shit. Just answer my goddamn question. But the mama feel a way about him anyway. While she talking about she all love and light and wisdom and all this, she feel a way about her son. Um, but she ends up telling Rev, like, he's had this plan for a while. He done had the ring in his drawer, just waiting on the right moment, and it became the right moment. So in the end, what they both got married, they both had babies. Uh, Shooter and Nomi's baby was named Nadir, and with two A's. I thought that was kind of cute. And Riv and Drake's son. No, they had a daughter. Her name was Rain. That's what it was. Oh, how could I forget this, Lord? Shooters, drugged out baby mama. She was the only one that didn't get clean. She actually ended up overdosing. And at one point, he got into a fight with her brother because her brother shows up to the tattoo shop like, this all your fault. You could get her clean if you wanted to. She listens to you. And Shooters, like, once again, that ain't my responsibility. Your sister is a grown ass woman. Like, I did not get her hooked on drugs. She actually buys drugs from your people. So if you had a beef at all, your beef is with your own people, not with me. Like, there's nothing I can do for your sister. Like, I've talked to her before. Don't make it seem like I haven't. She just, like, she chose the drugs. Like, there's nothing for me to do. But at one point, he gets served at his tattoo shop, like a few months later or something like that, saying that what's her Laura is the woman's name. Her parents are filing for custody of the child because they're in Atlanta. So, not Atlanta, they're in Georgia. So in the state of Georgia, even if he does sign the birth certificate, or even if the fact he's been taking care of her for the last 4 years, or should I say 3 years, um, that means nothing because the mother has all the rights, and she signed over her rights to her parents, and so they were suing for custody. And he was upset for a minute because it's like they haven't been around, they haven't checked on her, they don't know the first thing about her, but now they're trying to get custody. And he goes to a crack house and like cusses Laura ass out. She's like, you know you don't want custody. Like, why the fuck are you doing this? And she was hiding and telling some, if you give me $20 right now, I'll sign off the rights and you can have it. Just give me $20. And for, I think it was only for one night. It was either a night or a week. I don't know why. I can't remember. But she had to go to their house, and that baby was upset because she didn't know them. She don't know nothing about them. It's like, why are y'all doing this? And so when they had to go to court, it was time for like the final decision. Laura's daddy asked to speak with him, and at first he refused. He's like, I'm not doing that shit. I don't want to talk to them. I ain't got shit to say to them. But the dad is like, he don't want to take this to court. He don't want to go in there. Like, we trying to have a final discussion before, this is the finality of it, and you can basically only have visitations when they say so. So he go and talk to that man, and of course he got a sob story like, that's my daughter. I just wanted to help her, but I was not for trying to take my granddaughter away from you. And so he's like, I'll sign over the rights right now, just let me be in her life from afar. And this was our final attempt at trying to help her, and we couldn't. So basically, like, I'm sorry. And Shooter is like, man, I'm not trying to hear that shit. Y'all was really about to take my daughter away from me. Like, y'all ain't thought about this little girl. Y'all don't know nothing about her. She don't know y'all. So I really don't want to hear nothing from you. And I was like, true T. I'm on his side. Like, ain't no way for the last 3 years y'all just come out of nowhere and y'all thinking that this is gonna help y'all daughter. What did it help? It didn't help anything. It's like, if anything, it really makes me hate y'all a little bit more because my baby was traumatized when y'all came to that house and pulled her up out of it. Because it's like, I'm sleeping in a place I don't know. Y'all just taking me away from my daddy with no say so. And that's the one thing I hate about the government. It's like, y'all literally just rip families apart just because y'all can. And it should not be right. But he like, man, I'll think about it. But what? Sure. Like, basically agrees to whatever his terms were just so he could have his daughter. And that is the end of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It was kind of all over the place. But I hope to see you back next week. Lord. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.